However much fun you think you can have with alcohol, double it times 20. That's a quote from a sober friend of mine named Chris Marshall. He's actually the founder of the first NA bar in NA, North America, based in Austin, called the Sans Bar. And he was actually in town this weekend. He goes on the road once a year promoting NA beverages. And he had a little event on Saturday night, and I was just sharing on a sobriety call. I said, I went there with a couple. Well, I went directly with a new sober friend from my current community, and we met another friend there from the community who brought her husband. And then there were other friends from my previous sobriety community. But overall, it was a little boring. And, I said, I'm only saying that to say that that's okay. Because first of all, that's something I would have drank at in the past, needlessly. Because, at first, a little awkward, got through it, and it was fine. And the only reason I say it was boring is it was a little more small talky than I anticipated, even though everyone kind of broke up into smaller conversations, but didn't get into as deep a conversations as I've kind of become accustomed to in my new sobriety world. So, but what was great was afterwards. Chris and my friend Yasmin and I had dinner. So we did then get into some deeper conversations and had a great time. And what was really fun was getting home. Well, first driving home. Love driving sober, especially driving home at night. Just like I say, I make triumphant returns to the liquor store. I make triumphant drive homes sober, and then hitting the couch sober, watching the U.S. Open tennis. And then hitting the pillow sober, dreaming, always fun, and then waking up sober. Can't get more fun than that. It really can. Enjoying every single morning. Can't get enough of sober mornings. I was reminded you got to get out there to reset your circadian rhythm. So I get out for 5-10 minutes of sun every morning, as well as later in the day. And then often now I even go down the street and make my triumphant return to the convenience store to get a coffee, whereas I used to do a K-cup at home. But it's great seeing actual humans to start my morning, including my boy Ralphie, who works the register. Whereas in the past, used to go there when I thought I was overgoing to my local liquor store by my pizza shop, so I'd go there so I wouldn't be recognized, and I would never say a word to the cashier. But now I talk to Ralphie every morning. So unless I'm listening to a sobriety call, which I was today, and then I came home and shared, and it was great, and I feel like $1,000,000, which sharing always does for me, just like a cold shower. Anyway, I'm 3 minutes into this thing. Damn, I haven't even hit my stride. But I will, come back to Chris's quote that however much fun you think you can have without alcohol, double it times 20. Your definition of fun changes. You essentially have to redefine fun and reclaiming what it means to have fun. And that's not a bad thing. Fun in the past was artificial fun. I was using alcohol to cheat the system. Now, if I have fun, it's because I'm doing a fun thing. And even if I'm, say, at that event, wasn't overly fun on the surface, it was still challenging. And challenging myself is also fun. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Even 17 months in, that's still early sobriety. In fact, Chris, I had asked him a question, I forget, maybe when he really knew he was over the hurdle or there was something about it, but he used the number of 18 months to really get over it. So, and I've talked about Laura McCowan defines early sobriety as the first 1 to 2 years, which I always thought, but some people think it means a lot less. So that's especially the time when you have to, you always want to be trying to go outside your comfort zone, but stay inside your strength zone, especially in early sobriety. So I had a lot more to say about this, but I might end it with that it was still a really fun night. Oh, and I love the fact that Chris and I did a shot at the end. We had all these various NA mixers where you could make things like Dark and Stormies is what I made. And you could Cosmos, gin and tonics. Frankly, still feels to me like I'm drinking juice. So I'm not a really I'm not a mocktail guy. I do enjoy NA beers. And, but anyway, so Chris and I were doing a shot with an NA mixer. And he said, wow, you pour a big shot. And my shot was double the size that he poured. I said, dude, it's the only size shot I know how to pour. But it was great. And it was a great placebo effect. We were supposed to do some karaoke, never got around to it, but that's all right. It's still on my sobriety bucket list, so stay tuned for that. So I guess that'll do it for now. And it reminds me of, I usually end by saying stronger sober. I also love to say stay sober, stay patient. And I just found an old note that accompanied that by also saying you too can get intoxicated on life. And I've definitely gotten to that point. So no matter where I'm at, I'm feeling intoxicated on the inside. So that'll just by, the absence of something can also be a positive, whatever that quote is. And just not having those negative thoughts in my head, that alone is fun. So that'll do it. Please like, share, subscribe, etc. Thanks.